Right. The thing that I think scares me the most about any element of the Commanders being up here on the schedule at this point in the season, we all know that the Niners are the say much as many times much. They're a much better football team. They're better constructed. They're better coached. They're better executed. They got a better roster. They're better all the way around. The thing that to me makes the Commanders dangerous is Riverboat Ron literally has nothing to do but push his chips all in and just go bonkers. I mean, you could be looking at zero blitz 15 times in this game. I mean, why wouldn't the Commanders just throw out all the rules of football to try to just disrupt everything possible? The fake punt, the onside kick to begin the game. That is a franchise with absolutely nothing to lose. And I guess that makes them dangerous. What is also a little bit of a wrinkle that maybe the Niners weren't expecting after watching Sam Howell start every single game for the Commanders this year is they will not be playing against Sam Howell. Jacoby Brissett, who, Larry, I got to be completely honest, until I saw his name announced as the starting, I didn't even know that Jacoby Brissett was still in the league. I didn't know who he was rostered by. Yeah. Now, I also have to say that thanks to more than decades of not mattering and Daniel Snyder being just so dislikable, I know less about the Washington Commanders than maybe any other team in football. I'll just admit that right now. I mean, I can tell you that, Brian Robinson Jr. is a decent running back. I think that Terry McLaurin is a good, wide receiver, but for fantasy football, I'm not even really familiar with them. I do not watch Commanders football. I didn't watch much Redskins football at the end of that tenure. This is a team that I will readily admit I don't know much about, but I know that they're bad and the Niners are not bad, but a team with nothing to lose is a dangerous football team. So,
this is the details on, I mean, obviously we know Brissett's been in the league for a while, but they benched Sam Howell. He had started the first 15 games. And he just, he was sacked a ton. I mean, he was sacked 60 times. From weeks 4 through 10, Howell threw 14 touchdown passes, 4 picks, but he led the NFL with over 2,000 yards passing. And so he, in that period of time, but he had been sacked an NFL high 60 times. So,
well, and I actually read an article, Larry, that says they're not benching Sam Howell because they don't like him. They're benching Howell because they do. And they just don't want him to take any more punishment this year.
Well, exactly. I mean, and I think you can tell in the last few weeks that he's like mentally fried. He's been benched in each of the past 2 games. Brissett each time came off the bench and rallied the Commanders. In fact, in Brissett's first 5 drives in those fourth quarter in those games, Washington finished with touchdowns. So he gave them a huge lift, and the Commanders came back. They were down 28-7 against the Rams, and they ultimately lost 28-20 on December 17th. And then last week, Brissett entered down 27-7 against the Jets and guided the team to a 21-0 run.
Near rally.
So, yeah. So, he's going to step in. He's the veteran. They're for them, though, they've got a banged up offensive line and the 49er defensive line hungry on the other side. So that should be major advantage Niners. And,
I was thinking, Jacoby Brissett had certainly the air of mobility around him when he was in New England. Then when he gets to Indianapolis, but that's years ago. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett is quite the athlete that he used to be. Who among us are, right? So I don't know if he is a dual threat in a way that they have been, concerned about dual threat quarterbacks and have done a pretty good job playing against dual threat quarterbacks this year. But that's normally a blind spot for the 49ers defensively. I don't know if that's something that they need to worry about. Let's be completely honest. This should be an overwhelming afternoon of 49ers football. It really should be if everything goes according to plan, if everything goes according to the script. But expect Ron Rivera to just throw the kitchen sink at you. I mean, because there's no reason not to. Their season is all but over, and the only role they can play is spoiler. So they'd love to play that role.
Oh, yeah. And Brian Robinson, who's nicked up, is going to go in this game, and he's a good back. And McLaurin, as you mentioned, is a really good receiver. And Curtis Samuel's an NFL receiver, and the Penn State kid's not bad. So, I mean, they've got guys. But as far as their defense, it's amazing. they got some really, really unique numbers when you look at their defensive profile. They're dead last in the NFL in points allowed per game. They give up 30.2 points per game, but they're 6th in yards allowed. How about that? That's not a I mean, give you by comparison, the 49ers are 3rd in the NFL in points allowed. They give up 17.8 and they're 11th in yards. So they've given up more yards and points. That means they kind of, they bow up in the red zone and
correlates.
Yeah. But 32nd in points and 6th in yards. So that basically means that their offense has turned the ball over a lot deep in their own territory. And so that's what's kind of imploded their season. And if you look at their turnover differential, they're -10. That's 31st in the NFL. They only have 7 interceptions all year. That's 29th in the NFL. Their pass D is 31st ranked in the NFL. So but they're 23rd against the run. So they're not great against the run either. The thing is, the Niners should put up 35 and win this game going away. But we'll see, because the one thing that when you do see a team that's 4-11 and you see that they're 31st in the NFL in turnover differential, they're -10 on the year. That probably has a lot to do with Sam Howell and the rookie quarterback. Now that they have Brissett in there, they're taking care of the football. That little thing could come back to back to the mean or whatever it is,
right?
And suddenly they're +2 in turnovers. I mean, it's just like this Ravens game. If the Commanders are +2 in turnovers, it could be a long day.
Yeah, no, you don't want to lose turnover battles. You just don't. It has never been a good way to win a football game in the NFL. All those defensive numbers. This is a team that let go of Jack Del Rio as their defensive coordinator, and they did that like a week or two after they traded away their best defensive players, which I thought was sort of a rough outcome for Jack Del Rio. It's like we're gonna trade away your 2 best defensive linemen, and then we're gonna fire you. I mean, that's a rough way to go about a season, but it just sounds like it's been a defensive disaster. Maybe not even all the fault of the defense, like you just said. You got an offense putting you in short fields and bad positions. I can't even tell you who the Commanders' punter or kicker is. I mean, I could look it up. But again, here's the thing. We know enough stuff to not have to pretend about the things we don't know. And I'm going to be completely honest. I am unfamiliar with the Commanders. It is the 49ers' job to be more familiar than I am with the Commanders. And look, I think that they got the right coach to do it. And I do think that Ravens game will provide, if there were ever a guys, we got to be better game to work from for Kyle Shanahan, it was that one. He's still going to be coaching against the Ravens when he's got the team out there against the Commanders. They've got some, that isn't us. That's not who we are. And we're going to put who we are back on film for everybody. Motivation this week, you would think. And they got 2 games to win, Larry. I mean, that's the thing. There's no wiggle room in the Niners season. They control their own destiny and can be home for the playoffs. They don't have to leave the West Coast time zone again this entire football season if they win their next 2 games. So that all starts with Washington. I think it's a chalk it up to a win, and I will be stunned, and I might be some of the unfaithful hopping off that bandwagon. If this team were to lose in Washington, it would absolutely reframe all of my expectations for them.
Oh yeah. I mean, they should win 35-6. You know what I mean? This should be a real blowout. This Commanders team is circling the drain, but for Jacoby Brissett, it's like he's a veteran. He's definitely done good things for them. He's got a full arsenal of good receivers. I mean, Terry McLaurin takes a backseat to nobody. Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. These are good players. Logan Thomas, good player. Brian Robinson, good player. So it's the NFL. The Niners are going to have to play a clean game, but if they come out, they should be able to take advantage of a Washington team that's, with their backup quarterback, 3 banged up offensive linemen, playing out the string. On defense, when I asked Brock about it yesterday, I said, what stands out about their D on film? He said 94, 93. Jonathan Allen is 93. Deron Payne is 94, and they're both in the middle of the defense. They were first-round picks in back-to-back years, 17 and 18. And, they don't have Chase Young. They don't have Montez Sweat. But they do have some speed at linebacker. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's just going to be really about the same things, that they struggled with this last week. They got to take care of the football. They got to protect their quarterback. And they got to, they've got to make sure that they get after Brissett a little bit up front. And if they do that, they should win this thing going away.